Tonight on the Reggie Miller Show, let the festivities of race weekend begin. From TV's #1 hit, ER, Abe Ben Ruby, and special guest, Captain Scott O'Grady, with music from Powertrain. The Reggie Miller Show is brought to you by Mountain Dew and Marsh. And now, here, filling in for Reggie, is Pat Carlini.
Good evening, everybody. Those steps really scared me. I didn't think I was going to make it down those. I know Reggie bounces down them every week. We watch him. Reggie coming down the steps. Did anybody see when Boomer came down those steps? He did that big free fall, landed on his, I thought for sure that would be me tonight. It's nice to see all of you smiling faces here tonight. And if you're watching at home, welcome to the Reggie Miller Show. Reggie's not here. I'm the Reggie Miller Show tonight, so I'm sorry. I'm a little bit shorter than he is, but we do have a pretty good show. You know, Reggie's like, what, 6'8", I think it is, and our first guest is 6'7", so we are surrounded tonight. We're very tall people. So anyway, I hope you sit back and enjoy the show. We have a lot of fun guests. First up, great band tonight, all the way from Anderson, Powertrain. Very nice, very nice. Nice to have some live musical entertainment along with the show. Our first guest, has anybody, first of all, seen the show ER? I bet you have, at least once. Very popular NBC show. It is a biggie this year. Well, we have, we were talking about this backstage. It seems like everything big that goes on in the world today, there is a Hoosier connection, isn't there? There's always somebody there that they're from Indiana. You look way back in their history, they're from Indiana. So we have that tonight. We have a guest on our show that is from ER. And, I think we even have a little clip from this. This is Abe Ben Ruby, 6'7", Abe. And he is from Indiana. Let's roll that clip first up so we can show you who we're talking about.
Yeah, good choice. The whole father and waiting thing has changed since the Ricky Ricardo days. It's nice to preserve some traditions.
Excuse me.
Just a sec. I mean, I know how you feel.
Excuse me.
Hey, can't you see where...
Hey, Jerry, right?
Uh-huh.
I just want to thank you again.
No, you're welcome. Can you stay here for just 1 minute? 1 minute. 1 minute.
And of course, he runs off. I didn't get to see him. And he wanted to come meet Reggie tonight. So Reggie's not here. We'll have to hook that up again. To introduce him tonight, the official way, I think what we should do is bring up his dad. And I'm sure you've all heard of his dad, a popular person in radio here in this town. Smasher, Adam Smasher. Anybody heard of him? Yeah? Adam Smasher. Okay? From the legendary Firebirds now. So we thought it'd be nice if you introduce your son.
I will do it. This young man, as he was growing up, I had to discipline him every once in a while. I would take him over my knee and spank him as a little boy. As time went on, he grew to be 6'7", 300 pounds. Now when it comes to discipline, I just try to reason with the young man. You can see him in the movie Twister. You can see him Thursday nights on ER. A lot of you may remember him from the Parker Lewis Can't Lose series. Graduate of Broad Ripple High School, my son, Abraham Ben Ruby.
You left the door open, didn't you?
I sure did. I sure did.
Your dad told us about you.
The
He
techie
warned us
back
all
there was
about
like,
you.
make sure you close the door.
What did you do? Yeah. Well, they told me, why don't you roll down the steps like Boomer? So I guess that's the intro I expect.
And I was going to do that, but then at the last minute, I heard you make a joke about it. So.
Well, at 6'7", and what your dad say, 300 pounds, that would have made a little bit of noise in the old warehouse tonight, right?
Perhaps.
Well, welcome to the Reggie Miller Show. He's
Thank
not
you.
here tonight, by the way. I hate to disappoint you, but
You're
I'll
not
have
Reggie
to...
Miller.
No, I'm not Reggie. I know.
Okay.
You probably didn't know that.
I thought, your eye looked okay.
Yeah,
so.
see, my eye's fine, and yeah, poor Reggie. Folks are at home adjusting the set now going, I thought Reggie was on the show. Anyway, so nice to see you. And hey, it's got to be exciting. ER, I mean, how did you land that gig,
It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. I had worked for the producers that produced ER once before on a pilot for a show that lasted like a week or something. And so when it came time to cast ER, they called me and offered me this role of Jerry, and the script was great, so I said, sure, yeah, absolutely.
Did you have any idea what you're getting into when you first took that role?
Not to the extreme that it's like the entertainment juggernaut, 40 million people every week. So that's pretty crazy.
That probably makes you feel real comfortable when you go in to rehearse and they go, oh, by the way, just about 40 million people will be watching tonight, so don't let that bother you.
Yeah, don't disappoint America.
Yeah.
And the rest of the world. It's on everywhere.
As a young Hoosier, did you act a little, you know, and think you were going to do this?
Yeah, I started acting in my mom's basement, pretending to be Spider-Man and Captain Kirk, stuff like that. That's how I became an actor. And I did a lot of shows at the Civic Theater, Indianapolis Civic Theater, and I went to Broad Ripple High School, which has a very good performing arts center there, and I did a lot of plays there, and did a movie that filmed here in 1980. What was that? 1989, called Diving In.
Oh, yes, I remember that.
And that's what took me out to L.A.
Yeah, they were down at the Natatorium.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, quite a few days in a row. Did you work at this for a long time? I know a lot of actors have told us, hey, it's been a long time coming. I've been working at this for a long time.
Well, in relative terms, yeah. I've been acting since I was 9 years old, so 15 years, basically. Yeah. And I'm still moving forward, hopefully.
Right.
You know?
A lot more left to do.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
You've been a great guest. Thank you so much for introducing us to you and your dad.
Right on.
Always an entertaining family it is. Thanks a lot. Abe Ben Ruby.
Thank you.
So nice having you on the show. Powertrain will take us to the break.
The Reggie Miller Show is brought to you in part by your Lincoln Mercury dealer and by Ameritech.
Welcome to an Ameritech test town.
Okay, gentlemen, today, razor cuts. Attention, Henry.
Where folks continually test our stuff to make sure it's easy to use.
I tell you, here in Milan, this style.
Like video conferencing, which lets you exchange ideas halfway around the world.
Walter, your turn.
Okay.
Now, remember, beauty starts here. It's all mental.
Because if technology doesn't work for people, it doesn't work. Ameritech, your link to better communication.
It's drive one out of the park time at your Lincoln Mercury dealers. Hit a home run with 2.9% financing for up to 48 months or $600 cash back on the exciting Mercury Mystique or the hot-selling Mercury Sable. Either way, you'll drive home a winner with total savings of up to $4,010 on Sable LS and up to $3,222 on Mystique GS. But hurry, you've only got a few days left to get into the game. Miss it, and you're out.
Imagine yourself in a Mercury now.
Training is such a bore.
Nothing's more intense than slamming a dude. Well, Andre's really on fire. Whoa. Gotta hand it to those new coaches.
Bravo! Brilliant! Smashing! Good shot!
Out. Reggie Miller goes one-on-one with Don Marsh.
I know how much Indiana loves its basketball.
And I know how much Indiana loves its Pacers.
That's why we've always supported the Pacers.
Marsh is a great supermarket, so I'm glad to be teaming up with you to tell...
Excuse me, Mr. Marsh? I hate to interrupt, but may I please have your autograph?
Sure. Thank you.
I just love your commercials.
Marsh, gonna make you smile.
Come to think of it, Mr. Marsh, I love those commercials, too.
Thank you again to Powertrain, all the way from Anderson tonight. You see him playing around town now and then. Tonight we have another special guest. First of all, Ann Ryder, which you probably know, but actually Ann's guest is special. Ann and I just decided that between the height of both of us, we might equal Reggie Miller's 6'8". So
we taught him everything he knows about three-pointers, didn't we, Pat?
Yeah, that's right. Ann Ryder, back in November, she does a series called Hope to Tell, as many of you have seen. And she had a wonderful interview with Scott O'Grady. This was a magnificent story for more reasons than one, but he was a true survivor, somebody that was shot down over Bosnia, survived on his own in amazing ways for 6 days. One of those ways was through the power of prayer. And Ann is going to talk to him. Well, you've talked to him once, and now we're kind of getting to what has happened to him since all this. You think, of course, it would change his life, and we'll see just how much it has changed his life.
I think it has. We've stayed in touch from time to time through the years, and we're about to hear about that very shortly. Scott is in for the Indianapolis 500 and was kind enough to agree to be our guest today. So you're actually going to go out to the audience?
I'm going to slither off the stage for a moment, and I'll let you bring down Scott, and I'll return in just a moment.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome a true American hero, Air Force Captain Scott O'Grady. What a band, what an entrance. You're not used to this, are you?
No.
Do they do this in the Air Force Reserves for you?
No.
Certainly, your life has changed. It was almost a year ago that you were shot down, right?
Yes, it was on the 2nd of June. So the 1-year anniversary is coming up.
What's it been like for you this past year?
Well, I've been very busy. I moved to Hill Air Force Base to fly in the Air Force Reserve so I can still fly the F-16. And I had to get requalified in the airplane again. And then I've had so many requests to do things, and I didn't know what to do. And I decided that I was going to take those requests and do the best I could. So now I visit elementary schools, I do things with community organizations, I travel around the country about half of each month, and I will talk maybe at 4 different events, so giving speeches. And then we're just now starting up where I'm going to start a relationship with 2 charities because there's so many of them that wanted me to do things. And I went ahead and made the decision that I'm going to do something for children and do something for children that are in an adverse situation, such as cancer or terminally ill diseases. So the 2 charities that I'm going to endorse and I would encourage people to send their contributions and support to are the St. Jude's Children's Hospital and then also the Make-A-Wish Foundation for terminally ill children.
That's wonderful.
So things are
terrific. I'm sure that's one of the ways your life has changed. I mean, a year ago, you were in Italy, flying F-16s, which was your job, and now you're kind of an ambassador. What's it like being dubbed a hero? How does that change your life?
Well, my whole definition of a hero is somebody who helps somebody else. And the event that I went through, actually all I was doing was just helping myself and surviving. But it doesn't take like a 19-year-old Marine to come in under hostile fire to save somebody's life to be a hero. A hero can be somebody such as a parent helping a child to learn from right from wrong, or a teacher helping their students. You know, for me, being dubbed a hero is kind of something that I don't like. But what you find, though, is that if you have some notoriety, whether it be that you desired it or wanted it, or it just fell on top of you like it did in my case, because I didn't go after this, is that you also have a responsibility. And whether you're a sports star, an actor, or a musician that has a platform, your responsibility is to do good things for other people. And you should also be generous to other people. You know, the fact is that you know, you are in the spotlight, and there are young people there that are looking at you as a role model, whether you like it or not. And with that, you know, whether you have the responsibility, you know, what I'm trying to say is that no matter what, you have a responsibility, and the responsibility is to act in a decent manner. So
we'll get into more of your experience and how things have changed and why you're here in Indianapolis when we come back from this break.
Do wanna know your trip and get your
vida. Tanda.
It's a May tradition. Eyewitness News this race day morning at the Indy 500. Before the green flag falls, Eyewitness News gets you to the track. Count on Chopper 13 to untangle the traffic tie-ups. Bob Gregory to give you the race day forecast. Plus Dave Calabro with all the action from Gasoline Alley to that other race up north. For race day coverage you can count on. Join John Stair, Ann Ryder, and Linda Moore. Sunday morning from 7 to 11 on Channel 13 Eyewitness News.
Tonight's Holding Court on Race Weekend is brought to you by your Lincoln Mercury dealer.
It's drive one out of the park time at your Lincoln Mercury dealers. Hit a home run with the lowest lease price of the year on the totally redesigned Mercury Sable, just $212 a month. Or get 2.9% financing on the 96 Sable with V6 power, dual airbags, and room for 5 or 6. No wonder sales are up. This is one hot player. But hurry, you've only got a few days left to get into the game. Miss it, and you're out.
Imagine yourself in a Mercury now.
What you gonna do with all the cash you save?
Muffler trouble? Come to CarX and you'll save a bundle during our half-price muffler sale. These CarX mufflers come with lifetime guarantees. And now you get half off. That's 50% off the price of our most popular CarX mufflers.
What you gonna do with all the cash you save?
So come to your local CarX now for big savings on every muffler. But hurry, our half-price muffler sale will be half over before you know it.
Save a bundle, call the CarX man.
That's great. I can't get used to that. We're not used to that on the news. This is Captain Scott O'Grady's book, Return with Honor. And this was written shortly after his experience in Bosnia. Why did you feel you wanted to get this out in book form right away?
Well, that was, something that a lot of people wanted to hear was my story, and I was constantly being bombarded with interviews. And to tell you the truth, you can't explain everything in an interview. And the only way I could talk to people about what I experienced, whether it was emotionally, spiritually, intellectually, or physically, the only way I could figure out how to put that into one package was to write a book. And the book, it's a nice, the fact is that it's a exciting story. So hopefully that children would be excited about to read it. And then it's about combat survival. It's about military aviation. But more importantly, what really the book is about, it's about 3 issues. It's about faith, it's about love of family, and patriotism.
What did you learn about faith when you were down there in the Bosnian countryside?
Well, what you realize is that, unfortunately, a lot of times in our lives, it takes a life-threatening situation or a health-threatening situation to make you realize what is really important in life. And the fact is that you only get one life. And what it comes down to is that material things, which we are always striving for, do not bring you happiness. The happiness comes from your relationships that you have with your faith and with your family. And it wasn't a new lesson that I learned, but it definitely re-solidified an old lesson.
You could tell when you got back and the first person you thanked was God. You could just see in your eyes that you had experienced something spiritually that was very, very strong. Has that stayed with you?
Well, for 6 days afterwards, I was still very excited, and I was really riding on a plane that I've never been on before. But you come down off of that, and you just realize that it's something that you constantly have to work on every day.
You have been traveling the country. I know you've had very little time to yourself, but now you are back in Utah, and you're flying for the Air Force Reserves, which you've told me before is something that you wanted to do even before this, that you were shot down in Bosnia. You're a pilot first and foremost, right?
Yes, and it's kind of funny. This whole time in my life that gave me some notoriety allowed me now to go to the Air Force Reserve. It's very difficult to get in. I'm the youngest person in my squadron. The experience base there is phenomenal. And now I don't have to worry about ever leaving the airplane. I can be a fighter pilot for the rest of my career.
What was it like getting back in an F-16 after having yours blown into 2 pieces?
Oh, it was like, well, when you're a kid and you get your bicycle, the very first bike you ever get, that feeling, oh yeah, I got my bike. Woo-hoo! So it was like I got my bike again. I got to ride my bike again.
You were not scared?
No, it was fun.
Riding your bike again. How much does that bike cost?
It's an expensive bike.
I guess so. And how fast does that bike go?
Really fast.
Compared to an Indy car?
Well, 2 times the speed of sound.
Oh my
and
gosh.
at sea level, speed of sound is around 600 knots, which is about 660 miles an hour. So times that by 2. So it can go pretty fast.
Well, the Indy 500 won't thrill you then, will it?
Well, it's a different sensation because when you're flying that fast and you're above the ground at a really high altitude, you don't get the sensation of things moving past you as quickly as you do in an Indy car.
All right, we'll be back with questions from the audience with Captain Scott O'Grady right after this.
It's drive one out of the park time at your Lincoln Mercury dealers. Hit a home run with 2.9% financing for up to 48 months or $600 cash back on the exciting Mercury Mystique or the hot-selling Mercury Sable. Either way, you'll drive home a winner with total savings of up to $4,010 on Sable LS and up to $3,222 on Mystique GS. But hurry, you've only got a few days left to get into the game. Miss it, and you're out.
Imagine yourself in a Mercury now.
Welcome to an Ameritech test town, where folks try out real breakthroughs in communications technology.
Hello? Just the brother-in-law. You still using that passive display?
If a product doesn't make it out of here, it doesn't make it out.
Charlie? Hello?
Charlie?
Darn buttons are too small.
Separate checks, guys?
I'll get it.
Because if technology doesn't work for people,
Anyone know how to make this thing stop flashing 12?
it doesn't work. Ameritech, your link to better communication.
Tonight's special Q&A with Scott O'Grady is brought to you by Marsh.
The Marsh Fresh Idea Card. So versatile, you could say the sky's the limit. Like when you make purchases with your Marsh Fresh Idea Card, it goes toward points for the Marsh Computers for Communities program. That means new computers for schools, churches, and nonprofit organizations. The Marsh Fresh Idea Card, the most valuable thing in your wallet. For more information on Computers for Communities, call 1-800-811-4567.
Child's play.
Whoa. Shaken, not stirred.
Nothing's more intense than slamming a dude.
The Reggie Miller Show is brought to you in part by Marsh and by Mountain Dew.
Welcome back to the Reggie Miller Show. We are in the warehouse tonight, and I'm out here in the audience. This has been an interesting show. We've had an interesting mix of guests here tonight. We have Scott O'Grady up on the set, and we also have Abe Ben Ruby from the hit show ER. So we're going to take a few questions now from the audience, and our first question comes from Jeff.
Hi.
Hi.
Scott, you've been a great role model for my son, and we were kind of wondering if there's anything that survival school didn't prepare you for.
Well, the survival school was great. I went back there and debriefed with them. I said, you know, that the training that I received saved my life. They asked me what can they do to improve the training. I told them really it was perfect. But the one thing that you might want to do is that we were taught on how to resist if we get caught. Well, I didn't get caught, so I didn't have to resist against, you know, hostile forces, but I didn't know how to handle the media. So afterwards, so maybe if they could add that training in on how to resist the, you know, against the hostile media, then maybe that would be the only thing to improve on.
All right, now we've got to get to the serious questions here for Scott O'Grady, and CJ here has a really good question. Tell us what you got.
When you were in the woods and you were eating bugs, what kind of food did you wish you were eating?
Well, the first thing I want to do is I want to tell you that I only ate ants, and they were crunchy and sour, and I don't recommend any of the kids out there in the audience to go home now and say it was okay to eat bugs because Captain Scott O'Grady did. So, but when I was out there, you know, food is not an issue. You'll eat anything to survive, anything to stay alive, if it's okay to eat. But when I came back, of course, you know, my favorite thing would be to eat pizza. I love pizza. But when I came back and I was on board the ship, they fed me, and they eat very well in the Navy. I ate crab legs and all the strawberry ice cream I could eat, so it was good.
I bet so. All right, we have a question now over here for Abe Ben Ruby, who, well, does not eat bugs, but I'm sure you have a good question for him.
Hi, I just wanted to say that I think you're great on ER, and I was wondering how the ensemble cast works together and if everybody's as chummy as they appear.
Chummy. Chummy is the right word. Yeah, it's a very fun cast. You know, we deal with, in the acting, you deal with a really heavy-duty situation and very dramatic and depressing sometimes. So in between, it's all jokes, and like we have a big rubber baby, and George Clooney will slap the rubber baby, stuff like that. It's very goofy. It's a good group of people.
Okay, sounds good. We also want to wrap up now this evening, too. By the way, Reggie Miller will return next week. So before we go, Ann Ryder's been helping out here tonight. We have a question for Ann Ryder, her recent trip to Mother Teresa in Calcutta. Chris.
Yeah, I was wondering, Ann, since you got to talk to Mother Teresa, and now that you're back in Indiana, if that's affected her life spiritually or in any way.
Yeah, in fact, I think it's affected me in ways that I don't even know yet. One of the things that I learned from Mother Teresa is reminiscent of something Scott said earlier, and it's a different take on materialism. Being in a place like Calcutta, seeing the kind of poverty that we saw, that you know, I thought I had seen poverty. I'd never seen anything quite like this before. The nuns live very, very simply, and they think that when we surround ourselves with our material things, it tends to block us off sometimes from the people we love and also from our God. And I think that there's something to be said for living more simply, and I think that frees us up to do kinder things for the people around us as well. So I think that's one way that perhaps it will affect me, and I think in ways that I can't even imagine yet, hopefully toward helping other people.
All right. Thank you, Ann. Reggie, by the way, will be back next week. This is right out of the audience. Is that great or what?
That's great.
Thank you to all of our guests.
Thanks.
Abe Ben Ruby from the #1 show, ER. Thanks for being with us. Scott O'Grady, did a wonderful job. We love hearing your story over and over again. It's wonderful. And Ann Ryder. And Powertrain.
The Reggie Miller Show is brought to you in part by Ameritech and your Lincoln Mercury dealer. Guests on the show receive dinner for two at Ruth Chris Steakhouse. Ruth Chris, home of serious sports fans. Furniture for the Reggie Miller Show is provided by Kittles.
Like the time I when we said goodbye, I sit around